guest in, we'd like you to take a guess as to how many hosting country puns we can crowbar into tonight's broadcast. Now, we always love to hear from you, and we'll be watching the posts and in the chat. And we'd love to see who you're cheering on and who you're going to think is going to be victorious tonight in the AM class and obviously in the rookie class as well. Of course, there can only be one winner in each category. Ian, who's your favourite tonight for the win, Chester?
Tim, I've got to say that's probably the worst joke since Baldrick had a cunning plan. Anyway, Spa, it needs little introduction. Spa-Francorchamps, one of the oldest racetracks in the world, along with Nordschleife and Monza. These three hallowed tracks that are talked of in whispers in smoky race dens where the drivers share a sniff of petrol. Tim, if the last race is anything to go by, we might see a few wannabe maze spins in the early laps as these cars are heavier with fuel and obviously starting from cold tyres. Gunter may have a few words for these drivers.
Definitely, Ian. And just having a little look through the comments, we've got Beavers789. Come on, Barry Baldwin. Obviously, I'm sure Mrs. Sanford will be in tonight cheering on Rob Sanford, who's victorious last time out at Monza. And my guy Si said, "Oi, Tim, give us a wave." Well, I'll give you a virtual wave, mate. That's no problem at all. Now, Ian, last week was, of course, as we mentioned, the Cathedral of Speed that was Monza, which proved to be Spin City down at Lesmo 1. We saw an absolute hive of action down there. Now, Spa has many challenging corners. Where do you think the biggest challenges will be for the drivers ahead?
I don't know about you, Tim, but I find Spa pretty tricky in general. It's quite a technical track. The one section where I generally don't fall off is the Camel Straight, where I can calm down for a few seconds after the white knuckle ride that is Radion at full chat. But for the real drivers, the obvious danger spots are La Source, Radion, and Bruxelles. But not forgetting the bus stop chicane just before the finish line, which provides a challenging braking zone, but also a chance to snatch a place for the more opportunistic driver. However, just before that is Blanchemont. If you remember, Tim, that was the location Paul Busby lost control of his Ferrari from a comfortable second place, gifting the position to James Armstrong in the overall standings, and then going on to take the race win in the pro category after an enthralling tussle with Paul. But if we can just come back to this evening, we've got a 45-minute race ahead of us where, to coin a phrase, almost anything could happen. And it probably will, because it's at night. Can you give us a breakdown on the recent community events?
Oh, definitely, Ian. Definitely. So this week's been an absolutely packed schedule. So on Wednesday night, we had the MX5 League race, and that was its usual hive of activity and overtakes and drama. Thursday night, so straight after, obviously live on the broadcast on our Twitch channel, we saw the Skippy League, which just lived up to be its usual absolute flurry of entertainment. Watkins Glen obviously visited there in the other GT3 League and the F3 League, which had seen plenty of action in those races as well. And the Skippies kept the trend going definitely for that one. Now, the latest round, of course, of the Community League was last night, and we saw LMP2s and GTEs take the race, and Carl Cranswick took the win in the LMP2 category, and Colin Wynn and Phil Diaz finished winner and runner-up respectively within the GTE, and by obtaining those positions, they booked their place in the Race of Champions in June, alongside the previous Community League race winners and runners-up. Now, the Community League is free to enter and open to entrants, and for the also for the coming rounds, where's that in a minute? We've also got the Porsche Cup as well, the Porsche Cup Challenge League, which starts on the 6th of June. Again, we're taking entrants for that as well. So, if you're interested in joining either of those leagues or our community in general, head across to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/iRacing UK. And there you can drop us a message and request a link. Now, as you can see, the warm-up's well underway. We've got around about 9 minutes left of the drivers, and just watching a bit of a move up the inside to the bus stop there. As we mentioned, that was going to be one of the places to watch in. Currently watching Chris Hitchin there in his BMW, just heading over the start-finish straight, and hopefully we'll pick someone up soon, and we'll just take ourselves through a bit of a track guide around that. So lots of action going to be ahead of us, and undoubtedly, Ian, you're looking forward to it. Oh, not sure what's happened there. There's maybe a bit of a technical glitch or something like that. So, oh, you there, Ian?
Hello, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be looking forward to this. It's going to be a classic GT3 action with lots of frantic skirmishes and hopefully a lot of action at the front.
Definitely. I mean, we've seen it all season long, really, and it's been lots of battles, lots of close racing. As mentioned earlier, Rob Sanford in his Audi has been so strong, and we've seen likes of great moves around pit stop strategy. Of course, brilliant maneuver taken place by Josh Wilson within his Ferrari at Watkins Glen, who timed the overcut to absolute perfection to take himself up a couple of positions after starting further down the grid. And now, Ian, you've got a bit of a history. We were talking about the other day around Spa. Do you want to take the viewers around that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. The history of Spa, it's a pretty excellent place, really, because it's as we mentioned earlier, it was one of the oldest racetracks in Europe, and it was first created, if you like, in the late 1890s when it was made from closed public roads, and it kind of changed its length at various times through the years, and its longest was 73 miles.
Wow, I wouldn't like to have a go of driving that around in the MX-5 or the Pontiac Solstice. It'll take forever.
Oh, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I mean, say the MX-5 top speed is about 125. That's probably about half an hour per lap. I mean, that's a long time.
Yes, definitely.
So after they decided to make a fully functional racetrack in 1921 and had the first car race, but sadly they had to cancel it because they only had one entrant. It's kind of a bit like a Lotus 79 race at 2 a.m. on iRacing. But that's not a problem we're going to suffer here, is it?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So, what year do you think the track held its first 24-hour Francorchamps?
Well, I would guess, Ian, I'd probably go 1950s, 1960s, somewhere around that sort of time period.
Kind of close, but also not too far. It was 1924. That was the first year.
Completely out then. Okay, forget that one.
And then the year after, the track held its first GP, which was called the Grand Prix of Europe. That was won by Antonio Ascari, who you may know is the father of Alberto. He was the first two-time F1 winner in consecutive years, 1952, 1953. Ascari remains, along with Michael Schumacher, Ferrari's only back-to-back world champions, and he's also Ferrari's sole Italian champion, which probably rankles them a little bit, I imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was also the first driver to win multiple world championships, and actually a supremely talented racer because he made the transition from bikes to cars and then won the GPs, which is pretty incredible, really.
It is, isn't it?
So then there was a break in the racing during the war, but the circuit got a heavy pounding during the Ardennes offensive in World War II. Then in 1947, there was a bit of time after the war for everyone to have a collective breath, and then the first race was run. As the engine powers crept up, it was realised that the track was getting dangerous. So in 1970, they added a chicane around Malmedy for a bit of safety, but it still had that huge curve all the way down to Stavelot. But again, as the engine power kept climbing, there was a lot of death and injury. So they basically chopped all of those straights, the Master and Hollowell straights, out and put in Pouhon Corner, and that just basically slowed everything down a little bit and probably gave a bit more of an overtaking chance if you can dive for the corner. But the safety increased dramatically, so that made everyone a lot more happy. So there's a little bit of history about the two main corners, the iconic corners within Spa. There's Eau Rouge. A bit of trivia here. It's named after the stream that it crosses. And it was altered in 1939. It was the original entry corner into L'Ancienne Douane. And that was replaced by Radion, which, if you haven't heard of Eau Rouge, you've probably heard of Radion. Imagine accelerating out of La Source, which is the hairpin just after the start-finish straight, and you're driving back like a bat out of hell, and you've got this huge mountain ahead of you, curling round onto the Camel Straight, 17% gradient with an elevation of 134 feet, and you're expected to do that more or less flat out. It requires a strong will.
Certainly, and it's. Do you know, I was quite surprised about what you're saying there about just how far back the track dates, and like you're saying about the Frankfurt 24 was the taking part in, well, ironically 1924. Nice ironic year for the amount of time obviously it takes for the race. So they've got a couple of minutes to go just before the drivers start to grid up. So yeah, we just I see from the comments Mrs. Sanford's made her way into the stream and already put in a let's. We've had a come on Sanford, and there's a bit more support from him as well from Phase 1996. Who else? I did see another one. Georgie Sanford in there as well. So Rob's brought his army of supporters along with him tonight to cheer him on and will him along to the victory. And Ian, when I was just tuning into the qualifying beforehand, there was a few drivers struggling to set decent times, but one of the really standout performers was Sean Joe. He's one of our rookie drivers. He's a Ferrari driver. Obviously, Ferraris feature quite heavily within this field, of course. It's a car that people tend to get into quite early on, obviously, with the GT3 Challenge being a Class D within iRacing. So as soon as you get out of rookies from Mazda, it's one of the more exciting and faster options available. And we'll see quite a few drivers hopefully looking to lean on that skill and that longevity with the car. So the Ferraris make up, there's around about just over 50% of the field, and we'll have obviously Chris Hitchin tonight. Many a battle with him and his BMW, and I'm sure he'll be running at the front end. Murray Luca, a guy who I'm taking part in the Nürburgring 24 with. He's going to be my teammate in the Audi RS3 TCR. So we'll be getting to know each other quite a lot recently, and feeling our way, crashing our way around the Nordschleife and finding and picking up time. So that's taking part next Saturday. We have got 4 different teams entering. Obviously, I should be part of one of those. So we're really, really looking forward to that one. Now, Ian, I've got some quick fire questions for you. Are you ready, my friend?
I am indeed ready.
So, what's the longest river in the world?
That's got to be the Amazon.
So, what's another word for flinch?
Twitch.
And final one, a number that is only divisible by itself and 1.
That's got to be a prime number.
It is, Ian. So you got them all right. And by amazing coincidence, if you cast your eyes towards the subscription button, you could maybe perhaps press it. And that was a lovely, seamless segue to Amazon Prime. Now, with Amazon Prime, you also get a free Twitch Prime subscription. Now, our broadcast and community is run by volunteers who not only put a lot of time in, but also their own money to keep the community free. we would really, really appreciate it if you could use your subscription to subscribe to our channel and to help keep bringing more of this great quality content and keep the community free. So we've got the drivers just starting to take their positions, and hopefully we should be able to maybe bring you the grid quickly, not too short. So yeah, they're just going to run the last few corners. Ian, do you want, so with there's how many drivers? Got 24 drivers tonight taking part. Do you want to round them up, the top few?
Yeah, Tim, I'd say that's about 30.
Oh, okay.
So,
do you want to go through about the top 5 or 10 and the cars just come around the last few corners?
Yeah, so we got Luke Green in first, Luca in second, Stonehouse starts the second row, Win in the...
I'm going to
Tim,
cut across you in because in 1, 2, GT3 at Spa is go. Was a great start by Lee Green, and Murray Luca in this Ferrari has followed him up closely behind, and they've really made a break over Josh Wilson in another of the Ferrari. Luca's on to the inside there, but Green's ran it round the outside, and that green Ferrari there, Luca in the white and black Ferrari, as they now head up Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. They're sweeping corners, so they head out onto the Kemmel Straight. And from looking back through, I don't think we've had anyone lose out at all. I think Rob Sanford's dropped down a little bit in the background, just looking at the standings. But we've got in the David Norman's also dropped down, but we've got Carrick Stonehouse in the pink Lamborghini in the background there. He's on the offensive against Colin Wynn and battling with Chris Hitchin as well. So let's just look. We're going to take a look now at David Norman and see what happened to him off the start as he headed up Eau Rouge and Radion. So he's taken the left and the right. Oh, he's taken a lot of grass there. And he looks like that car's out of control. And he spun and around he goes. Ian, you called it earlier. We might have a few Mazda spins, and that's our first casualty of the night. Unlucky for David Norman. But that's Luca. He's running incredibly slow there. He's absolutely tumbled down the order. He was running in second before we cut to that replay, and something's happened there off camera. And he's looked that Ferrari's looking incredibly wobbly, and there's horrific damage to the rear right of that car. And we'll be good to come back to see what's happened there. But Murray Luca, for such a promising start at second, and something's happened to him there, unfortunately. And such a shame. And we'll see if we can cut to the replay to that shortly. Here we go. And we've got, there's Carrick Stonehouse, someone you mentioned as well, in his pink and purple Lamborghini. He's taken a bit of a spin there as well. And he's had to recover it to the pits. And here goes the Murray Luca incident. And looks like he's just taken a bit too much curve going round into No Name, and that was it. Round and round he went, and he's collided with the barrier, and that rear right of that Ferrari looked heavily damaged and seems to be hampering him. And having a look, he's having a bit of a fight with David Lawson at the moment. And to cut back to live action, we've got Ash Wheeler and Barry Baldwin fighting out for second and third in class in the rookie. Oh, and there was a big accident there. Ash Wheeler colliding into the back of Barry Baldwin's BMW there. And when the concertina effect happened up in the bus stop chicane, and they're just tripping over each other where they're all over the top of one another there, Ian.
That's right. It did seem like there was a bit of confusion as to braking zones, and there was just a little bit of a touch. But as we know with these cars, they can be quite fragile, and a little bit of touch will destroy the air dam, and that will destroy your downforce, and then that will correspondingly affect your grip.
So as they head up Eau Rouge and Radion, the car's taking really all the curb and some more there as they come over the crest of the hill and head along the Kemmel Straight. You have got Barry Baldwin and Steve Aldwin fighting out in the distance there as we watch Ash Wheeler here. And he's got in his green Ferrari, and he's got Neil Smith in the red BMW behind him for company, and his teammate Stephen Hughes in that other green Ferrari. They've got a four-way battle now over third place in the rookie class here. Wheeler, Smith, Hughes, and Rob Sanford, who's surprisingly down in 6th place in class and currently 17th overall. Not expecting to see that from Rob normally. He's normally at the front, battling it out and fighting for the win.
I got to say, Tim, to have that red BMW in your rearview mirror with those huge aggressive scoops, that's going to be like pretty intense. You probably want to be getting away from that as soon as possible.
With that new front grille, it's like those front teeth almost are there. Look, they're clawing away and nagging in your rearview mirror. As we now look at Chris Hitchin in his BMW. He's got Gary Truby in the red and black and Welsh flag inspired Ferrari behind him for company as they round the last part and head towards the bus stop chicane here, Ian.
It looks like someone spun off in Blanchemont back there. No, Stavelot, sorry, my fault, Stavelot. There was a bit of a spin in Stavelot just then in the background. I don't know if we can have a bit of a replay of that.
I'm sure we can come back to it as they come through the bus stop chicane now. And we've got Colin Wynn ahead of them. These two have just managed to catch up to them. And here we go. Tony Blenkinsop, and he's just spun it round and he's parked it nicely on the grass there, but he's pointing against the barrier. It's not an ideal position. He's going to lose a lot of time and drop right to the back of the field there, where he's having to sit and play the patient waiting game to rejoin the track.
This is true, but it's far better than crashing into that Argo and not getting any damage. And then, yeah, so we all know damage, it's murder.
It is. Wow. And we're back to well, we're looking at Gary Bennington now. He's got Sean Joe for company with him. Sean Joe, he's the man on the move in that grey and blue Ferrari, and he's taken up the inside, and he's left Gary Bennington for absolute dead there. Gary Bennington in that red Ferrari giving a flash to the lights as Sean Joe comes through. Now, Sean Joe, he's qualified extremely well. He's already caught up onto the back of David Lawson in that Ghostbusters Ferrari ahead of him, and he's currently first in class, but he's already 8th overall. Absolutely stunning performance. And now he's on the attack of Lawson. And you've got Rob Armstrong in that Ferrari, in that Mercedes. Now, Sean Joe was the second quickest qualifier out of the two categories. It's an absolutely stunning result. I know it's a track that he enjoys and he's feeling confident about, but wow, he's don't think he could be much happier than the performance he's already put in so far tonight. And I don't want to put the jinx of the commentator onto it, Ian. And hopefully he continues to have tonight.
Yeah, very true. It just made me laugh a little bit with the impotent flashing of the Ferrari in his rear view as he left it in the distance.
Yes, this Joe sort of passed Gary Bennington, that was in the Ferrari, and just sailed off into the distance. Sean Joe already pulled out 7/10 of a gap as he comes round Blanchemont ahead of him here, and he's got Lawson. He's dropped off a little bit off the back of him, and one battle we have got that's starting to hop up is Chris Hitchin and Colin Wynn. And going through, that was
some late braking.
That was a lunge and a half there from Gary Truby on the brakes into the bus shop chicane. He almost had to run it a bit wider to take avoiding action around to make sure he missed Chris Hitchin's BMW. Chris running an absolutely stunning and vibrant livery there of obviously his brother Jonathan runs very strongly within the pro category and is regularly fighting for the win. And just Chris Hitchin probably a few places down compared to where we've normally seen him so far this season.
That's true, and that Ferrari did really well to avoid the back of Chris Hitchin there into bus stop, because that would have been a total calamity for both of them.
Oh, completely. But Chris Hitchens, he's on the attack here. He's going to look to sling it up the inside of Colin Wynn. He's just showing the front end of that BMW. Not that you can really miss it with that aggressive front end styling. And he's really a man on the attack here as they now head down the two.
He's just letting him know that I'm here. I'm coming for your position. Here we go.
Here we go. So they come round Bruxelles and they head down to No Name. Now, of course, did you know, Ian, I once rode across a desert on a horse with no name? Shocking, isn't it?
Sorry, Tim. Did you buy that waffle with cream and chocolate sauce?
I did, my friend. That was usual high-quality dad jokes that you expect from myself on the streamers, as always. And race is sort of neutralised. That now we have got some quite close battles on screen at the moment. Obviously, between Colin winning that sandy-coloured Ferrari, Chris Hitchin in his BMW, and Gary Truby has now managed to sort of claw back some of the time he lost last time around, and he's going to look to utilise that double toe that he's going to pick up off of Hitchin and win as they come up to Blanchimont on the fastest part of the circuits and the fastest sort of corners within motor racing in general.
Yeah, so he's within a second, so he's going to get that toe. And just coming around Blanchimont, we're seeing, and I can just see Gary Truby in the back, hard on the brakes for coming through the bus stop. There's not an accident. Gary Truby manages to brake early enough. Here we go round, back into the start-finish straight, and accelerating up to La Source. And it looks as though Chris Hitchin was flashing at Joshua Wilson.
That's Colin Wynn ahead of him.
Colin Wynn, sorry, my fault.
That's all right. Don't worry, Josh Wilson. He is he's in a bit of a sort of a buffer zone by himself up in second place, and I think it's probably a good time to run through the order now. With 10 minutes gone of great racing here. So with 35 minutes to go, your order is Lee Green, Josh Wilson, Colin Wynn in third, Chris Hitchin fourth, Gary Truby fifth, Rob Armstrong in sixth in his Mercedes, Gary Bennett in seventh, Tom Farrell eighth. Barry Baldwin in ninth. What's happened to Sean Joe? He's dropped down the order quite a bit there. As I was taking my eyes off the screen here, Chris Hitchens on the attack against Colin Wynn, and they're going side by side here, Ian. And they're not giving up any room. And Gary Truby's now joining in as they head down into Brussels, a tricky corner where the car wants to run wide as you run downhill, and they now head round to No Name. And these two are still side by side, not one wanting to give an absolute inch. And Wynn's managed to, he's got the inside line, he's managed to get ahead, but here comes Hitchin, he's on the attack now. And they're hard into the brakes, and they're going to run side by side yet again into the entrance of the corner.
That was a really dangerous. Coming to Pouhon at that kind of speed, it's really easy to run wide. And Gary Truby is taking full advantage of the tussle and trying to close up on Hitchin.
Well, Hitchens, it feels like he's being held up now by Colin Wynn, and with the aggressive moves that he's trying to just get that BMW out in front. The BMW's got really good grunts low down from that V8 BMW. So let's have a look. We've got some action here. So it's David Lawson with Sean Joe behind him, and Sean Joe was running first in category. And Sean, no contact there down into the turn one, and he's stuck under. Larson's stuck underneath Sean Joe there, and that's where they've both lost all that time. I imagine the Smurfs there from Belgium, and I imagine the language inside that car is going to be about as blue as what the Smurfs are. As we watch Gary Truby now on the attack with Hitchin.
Indeed, Tim, blue enough that you should probably have a Gargamel with some mouthwash.
Oh, definitely, Ian. Definitely. So we've got 33 minutes to go. The last 2 minutes have been absolutely action-packed up and down the field. Just having a little look down the action. Rob Sanford has managed to rise up through the ranks. He's up for 10th overall and second in class now. He's hot on the heels of Barry Baldwin's BMW. A lovely bit of alliteration there. Around about half a second covering those guys. But here comes Chris Hitchin, yet again, on the attack of Colin Wynn. As they come down the Kemmel Straight, and he's got the slipstream. He's down on the inside. It's got to be it, Ian. It's got to be it. He's got his car really in front, and Colin Wynn's got to concede that corner. And Chris Hitchin shut the door there, and he's through. But Gary Truby's now on the attack.
Chris Hitchin in full control of his car there as he comes into Lecum and accelerates down to Bruxelles. Hard. I always struggle with this corner, Tim. I don't know about you, but it always seems shorter than it is, and I accelerate too early. I miss the apex and go wide, and then it just all goes wrong. But Chris Hitchin did that perfectly. Straight into No Name and accelerating down to Pouhon.
So Hitchin already managed to pull out around about 6, 7. Oh, he's run very, very wide there. And look, that's allowed Truby's through. Truby's got the move. Excuse me, Colin Wynn is in the matter of corners has lost his 2 places there.
That was very lucky for Truby that he didn't have to try and make it past Colin Wynn. I think Colin was trying desperately to accelerate as hard as possible and brake as late as possible, and perhaps overcooked it a little bit and allowed Truby to pass.
I just managed to catch hold of that one where I saw Chris Hitchin run really wide as we look at Neil Smith's damaged BMW, where he's had an incident in the front right corner of that BMW. Look, a bit crumpled. He's got Sean Joe for company in that grey and blue Ferrari ahead of him. Sean currently 3rd in class, Neil 4th in class, 12th and 13th overall. And they've got the two green and black Ferrari drivers of Ash Wheeler and Ben Brody behind him. However, they're just probably a bit too far away. Yeah, just over a second now, Ian, to capitalise in any sort of slipstream as they head round Blanchimont.
That's true. They're kind of slipstreaming each other, but that BMW, even with the damage, is pulling away. But I have to say,
sorry to cut across you, Ian. We've got a move on in the background there. We've got Ben Brody is under attack with Ash Wheeler, and they're battling round, and that's got the move done. Ben's got the move done on Ash there. And Ash is now where he's struggled to get the acceleration off. He's got Anthony Franklin, that orange McLaren, behind him. And Dave Norman, slightly out of sync, obviously, from earlier instance in that blue Ferrari behind him, one of the AM drivers.
he did carry a lot of speed through the bus stop, and you could clearly see he outstripped him horribly on the start-finish straight as he accelerated hard.
So they head up Eau Rouge and Radion. Absolutely stunning set of corners. And Anthony Franklin's on attack. And I think we've just got a few technical difficulties there. So we've got Anthony Franklin's he's on the defensive. However, he's got David Norman up the inside in his Ferrari. David Norman hard onto the brakes, and looks like he's just got the move done on Anthony Franklin. David Norman coming back through the field, obviously after his early incident, but no, Norman's lost it somewhere. He's lost it, and Franklin it's allowed Anthony Franklin and Stephen Hughes has managed to get through there. So apologies about the little technical difficulties there of just the sound dropped off. A few exchanges of and the video as well. A few exchanges of places, obviously, where David Norman was on the attack against Anthony Franklin, and he's actually lost out. And hopefully, we'll cut back to a replay at some point and see what happened to him. And now we've got Barry Baldwin in his BMW. Yet another BMW carrying damage, and he's got Steve Olden's red and white Mercedes behind him for company, Ian.
I don't know about you, Tim, but I love those SLSs. The body shape of those Mercedes is so aggressive, and it just looks slung and sweet like a cat, like it's just growling. It's great, and the noise they make is insane. I love them.
Oh, it's this is what I love about GT3s. You've got completely different cars with engines in different parts of the car, different size engines, and they're all able to compete on this even platform, thanks to balance of performance, where certain aspects of the cars, either power or weight, is increased or decreased to make them all competitive.
Oh, listen to that Steve Olden's Mercedes. Just listen to that roar. That is insane. It's so good.
It's so sweet and creamy, like Belgian chocolate, you could say, as we're here at Spa. And so we're going to ride with Steve Holden all the way through as the next couple of corners and watch him come up Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's just listen in. Little bit of deceleration there just to settle the car, but that creamy, grunty V8.
I've got to say, Tim, that Barry Baldwin, despite missing that rear diffuser from all that damage, is handling Radion extremely well, and the Mercedes didn't really catch up to him.
Yeah, the two drivers not fighting class, but talk about drivers fighting class. And much further down the field, we've got Murray Luca and David Lowson here. Lowson is going to be out the outside, and he's going to lose this place to Luca. He's going to throw his Ferrari up the inside, and that's the move done. That is over 18th and 19th place. Obviously, these drivers caught up in incidents early on, and hence why they're so far down the field now. And next up the road to them is rookie driver Stephen Hughes in his Ferrari, but he's not another, I think it's about 5.5 seconds up the road, and he's currently just following behind Anthony Franklin there in his orange McLaren. And I don't know about you, Ian, the way that these McLarens just have the fire coming out the back of them during deceleration just looks so special.
It's excellent, isn't it? Look at that. Just check it out right now. It's just a threatening
Oh,
move to the
Franklin's
car
lost
behind.
it!
Oh,
He's had a massive
just
tank
lost-
slapper there, and it's cost him dearly there. But this is going to allow. We're going to see. Well, it's going to really.
hopefully he's
Here
managed
comes
to safely
Luca.
undertray. Oh, here we go.
Here comes Luca, but I think Franklin's managed to collect the car and compose himself. But now he's got Luca's going to be on the slipstream for Franklin. Franklin looks like he's conceding the position. These guys, different categories. Luca from the AM category, the higher of the two categories. Franklin from the rookies, and it looks like he's conceding the position. He's just tucked in behind Luca. He's going to look to follow him for a few laps and just tow him around the track and get away from drivers. We've got some heading into the pits here, Ian. He's Sean Joe's headed to the pits, so's Neil Smith and Clive Davis as well. Well, looking at the time, Ian, it's the pit window is officially starting to open.
It does look like it. 3 drivers have decided now to try and go in and refuel. Some of the drivers down the front, they might be, if their times are starting to slow, they might be trying to do a bit of fuel saving and eke out those extra laps and try and, just edge the pit timing.
Now, looking at the list that we've got, just to go through the running order, we've got Lee Green. So we haven't mentioned much. He's sailed away and had a comfortable lead. And we've got Norman on the attack of Lawson. There was someone off to the side there. I think was that, I'm not sure who that was. It was an orange livery car. I think that was Clive Davis there. We've got Norman on the attack. He's going to look to put it up the inside of David Lawson. Here we go. Hard onto the brakes. Just out, Lawson just conceding out of shot. There we go. If we look back to him on the rear view camera, and that's the move done for David Norman up to P17.
That was a compelling overtake. Exactly textbook draft, outbreak, turn, beautiful.
You said it earlier in the commentary, Ian, about how Lecumbe would be definitely a place to watch out for in terms of action, and it's definitely living up to that name. Now, we're just going to take a look at what happened to Clive Davis. Obviously, we saw his car by the side of the road at the top of Overeach Radion, and he caught a bit too... Oh, he's just carried round. And that was it, straight into the wall there. And as he parks it... And no, he's managed to get the car going again, luckily. But it doesn't look healthy at all. It looks like it's crabbing, if anything. And I think that's just him finding somewhere safe, potentially, to park it there. And I think that's Clive Davis' race done, unfortunately.
To be honest with you, Tim, that's a situation that's happened to me already on many a time. I've gone in too fast and applied the power too quickly. The back stepped out and not managed to catch it, and then bang! Before you know it, you're right into the barrier and it's into the pits.
So we've got. So Gary Bennington, I've just heard he had a crash somewhere off camera. We'll see if we can come back to that. Oh, as if by magic, here we go. It's heading down into the bus stop here, and let's see what happens. The first part looks okay, and
he took too much curb.
Oh, I think he's maybe utilised that to take his pit stop early. I think he's hit the curb, and he's where the car was unsettled, and he wasn't going to make the corner. He's headed to the pits to take his mandatory pit stop and take on some more fuel.
He bounced off the curb and just missed his turn, and I think he just thought, well, might as well.
However, we've got Lee Green here. He's, as we mentioned it, he's 3.6 seconds ahead of Josh Wilson in second. Obviously, Lee was battling at the very early state for the part of the first lap with Murray Luca before Murray ended up spinning and falling down the order, unfortunately. And since then, he's just had a pretty comfortable racing in it. Josh Wilson has sort of tagged him along, but hasn't been able to seem to chisel into that gap, and it seems to be quite comfortable for him so far.
That's right. He's just basically got into his groove and just driven away. Some phenomenal piloting there.
Definitely. So we've got, as mentioned, we've got Josh Wilson in second place with 22 minutes to go. Chris Hitchin, a third, 4 seconds down the road in his BMW. Gary Truby fourth, Colin Wynn fifth. Rob Armstrong in his Mercedes in sixth. Mr. Rob Sanford, there's a lot of love going on. Got Nick, Phase 1996. Just looking up at the chat, all saying, come on, Sanford. And he's driven that Audi superbly all season long. And he's such a humble gent as well, Ian. You know, wherever we've spoken to him post-race in the interviews, he's just been, so calm and kind, and just like I say, he's just a humble, lovely guy.
It always makes it nicer, doesn't it? You really want to root for the guys that are like that. If a guy comes in just stomping about, fronting everything, then you kind of, no matter how you try, you might still feel a little bit more disrespect for him. But if he's a humble guy like your Lando Norris is, for example, a right nice fella, it seems.
He is definitely, and it's not just a performance he's put in within class. I mean, yet again, he's up to 7th place overall. I mean, he was running at 1 point 6th in class and around about 13th or 14th overall, and he's just getting plucked away. And now he finds himself up in 7th place. Yet to take his pit stop by the looks of things at the timing screen, and he's well clear of Barry Baldwin, who is second in class, who's about 8 seconds down the road back from him. And obviously Ben Brody, who's then, well, I think must be about 14 or 15 seconds behind Rob's Audi. And I think he's got to be, I know whenever we've questioned him during the interviews, he's never said, oh, there's still plenty of time to go for the championship. Anything can happen, but I think now it's really got to be starting to settle home that this championship is his for the taking.
He's also chosen quite an unpopular car, it seems, because he's the only Audi in the track.
Yeah, it's a little bit more popular within the pro-am category, but not that much. Again, as we were saying before the race, the Ferrari obviously being available within the fixed Ferrari league, so open lobbies very early on. So as soon as you get out of rookie class, it's an into Class D within your safety rating. It's the first of the GT cars that you can drive, and that's what makes it so popular.
It gives you a little bit of a taste of extra power, and it's fixed setup. So you're in a field where you're effectively not racing against someone with better knowledge of the game, if you really want to experience some of the higher powered cars. But they're no cakewalk to control. I don't know if you've tried them, Tim. They are totally impossible unless you're really careful and stick to your racing line and take your apexes, and they really will bite you.
So we're just currently watching Steve Olden. He's on the attack of Barry Baldwin. Steve running a little bit onto the grass, so he's got to go wide. Well, that's very, very close. Barry's already got a lot of damage to that rear of that BMW, and Steve nearly putting a bit more into it. And as they're going through the bus stop chicane there, and yeah, just as we're going back to obviously where you're saying about the Ferraris and the fixed Ferrari GT3 challenge within iRacing, obviously they've improved the setup a bit, and it is better obviously since the GT3 fixed setup class has come along within Class D, so Class C. However, it's still a bit more tricky, and I've personally, with a couple of tweaks to the setup and the ABS, it's a far nicer car to drive once you can edit the setups in Class B for the VRS. And we're just going to take a look. God, sorry. I was just going to say, we're just going to look at Colin Wynn, who's got Rob Armstrong's BMW for company behind him there. And sorry, Ian, you were saying?
Yeah, so I think last season when I first tried the Ferraris, they had a daft. Oh, Colin Wynn's just gone wide on Pouon. Is he just trying to maintain speed, but he'll get an off track for that? I think. And the Mercedes is closing up and trying to draft. Coming in, let's see what happens around these next
few. That is, I think. Yes,
that was the
Campus. And here we go down to Stavlo. No, sorry, here's yeah, that was Campus there. That was Stavlo. Here we go.
But I think the raw power of the Mercedes should be able to climb.
However, I think it's going to be a bit too far back to make a move this time around. Rob Armstrong currently about half a second behind. That gap is closing. It's down to 4/10, but I don't
think
the
draft.
He's utilizing that draft just to climb, claw back at the gap. So that's hard on.
Too late. I think
incredibly late.
Oh, lucky.
Colin Wynn heads to the pits, and we've got action at the front in terms of pits. Lee Green, Josh Wilson, and Gary Truby and Colin Wynn all into the pits. So now Chris Hitchin takes the lead of the race for for this short period before he takes his pit stop. And Rob Armstrong now finds himself in second place before the round of before he's taken his pit stop. And it'd be good and interesting to watch the gap between Lee Green and Josh Wilson. As I see Lee Green and Wilson exiting into the pits, that gap was around about 3 seconds. Now, we've got Sean Joe. He's following Gary Bennington here, 2 Ferrari drivers. Sean Joe
here we go.
to the inside. Here we go.
Oh, there's a beautiful pass on the outside.
Brilliant move around the outside there from Sean Joe in that grey and blue AMD Ferrari as he comes hard onto the brakes. Gary Truby taking Gary Bennington there taking a very shallow line on the approach up to the bus stop chicane, and he's got Neil Smith for company in his BMW. He's managed to close the gap right up to half a second, and Sean Joe has already pulled out nearly a second on Gary Bennington. And they come hard onto the brakes now into the source. They've got a bit of traffic on the inside there. That's Steve Olden and I think Barry Baldwin and in the BMW as we ride now with Sean Joe as he heads up Eau Rouge and Radion left and then right, taking the curb as much as you dare as you head left again across the rise of the hill where the car gets really light. We now look back as we head onto the Kemmel Straight. So we've got Barry Baldwin's BMW, Gary Bennington's Ferrari in the background there, but they're too far back to make a difference to Sean Joe.
He really took that beautifully. He carried enough speed and he's leaving him in his dust.
A lovely Belgian-related pun there. Lovely. So, absolutely great action. We've got quarter of an hour to go now. Chris Hitchens still out in front, yet to take his pit stop, and Rob Armstrong in second place. Lee Green and Josh Wilson, he's managed to take out a second out of Lee Green at the pit stops there. The gap was around about 3.5 seconds before the round of pit stops. It's now down to 2.5 as Josh Wilson looks to reel in Lee Green. And we've got our leaders are in, Ian. Our leaders are in. Chris Hitchen and Rob Armstrong are in from first and second place.
Okay, so they're going to give up their place. I reckon Lee Green might be able to come out in front before they exit the pits. We shall see. Did that fuel strategy work? Did they eke their fuel? Are they able to fuel with little enough? Here we go. He's just coming round La Source. We'll find out any second.
Yeah, they're going to appear on the left-hand side. You can see them in their pit boxes there, as well as the Porsche Carrera Cup car. He's really incredibly wide there. And let's see what difference can Josh Wilson. You can see his pink Ferrari in the background there. The gap was around about 2.5 seconds. It still is. Well, it's extended out a little bit. So Josh Wilson not able to capitalize on that slight mistake there from Lee Green, where he's taken that wide. And look at the momentum that Lee Green's carried up the hill there. He's eked the gap out by nearly half a second over Wilson there as they headed up Eau Rouge and Radion. But we've got the battle is hotting up with Barry Baldwin here, and he's got Neil Smith behind him. Sean Joe just ahead of him, and just looking at Neil Smith, he's got Stephen Hughes and Ben Brody. You can see him in the background there. So
there's a lot of traffic coming out Radion right now. This could be a problem. There could be a bit of an accident here if someone isn't careful enough.
There could be. At least with the tyres being warm now, the drivers will be feeling more confident. So we've got Neil Smith and that orange BMW at the front of that train, followed by Stephen Hughes and his Ferrari, Ben Bodie, Gary Bennington, and Steve Olden at the rear of that train in that Mercedes. Just in the background is Ash Wheeler there in his green and black Ferrari. So this battle now that's ensuing, it's all over 12th place. We've got, other than Gary Bennington and Steve Olden, these are all rookie drivers. So not only is it for position on track, but it's also position in class as Stephen Hughes going on the attack and just showing his Ferrari up the inside of Barry Baldwin there in that BMW. And as they head out of no name.
I've got to say, Tim, I really do love that red metallic AMD livery of that BM. I think it fits perfectly. It looks great.
It does. However, Stephen Hughes, he's looking to get an even closer look to it. He's all over the rear end, all over the gearbox of Neil Smith's BMW there, and looking to just unsettle him, make him look in the rear view mirrors, as just to try and unsettle the car and distract him into making a mistake, Ian.
That's right. It's just like if you hassle drivers and you're right in their rearview mirror constantly, then that makes you look in the rearview mirror more, and maybe you're not concentrating on your line, your apexes quite as much. You lose a few tenths here and there, and then you can get drafted, and all of a
Oh,
sudden,
here we go. It's not contact.
oh, there he
We've
goes,
got
there he
contact
goes.
there. There's Ben
Was there
Brody. He's been
contact?
spun round.
Was there contact?
I believe there was contact there. Ben Brody got a bit of a nudge there from Stephen Hughes, who seems to have slowed up despite no damage to his Ferrari, almost conceding it.
Was that a bit of gamesmanship from Stephen Hughes?
I think it was just where it's following so closely. Here we go. We ride on board with Stephen Hughes as they head round Blanchimont. It just carries so much more speed, and where Ben Brody had to take that shallower line. No, sorry, not Ben Brody. It's Neil Smith. There you go. He's done the sportsman thing of let him go out
That was
before him.
very true. Yeah, that was really honest of him, and just like, you take that place, I nudged you. Hands up.
Here we go. We've got Gary Bennington. He's under attack from Steve Olden's Mercedes as they head down the Kemmel Straight, your favourite corner that you don't fall off, Ian. And they now, it looks like he's gonna get them. He's got the move done there, while ahead of time, as they enter into Lacoon. And that is for 13th place overall.
That's right. He just sailed straight past him. He drafted well, and that was it. Position taken.
So with 10 minutes to go, we've got Lee Green still out in front. Josh Wilson not being able to make any inroads into that gap that he's got 2.7, 2.6 seconds, round about that. It has been that sort of gap since the round of hit stops. Chris Hitchin in the final podium position in his BMW in third. We've got Gary Truby's Ferrari in fourth. Rob Armstrong's Mercedes fifth. Colin Wynn, who we currently looking at now in his sort of sandy-coloured Ferrari. Mr. Rob Sanford, I'm sure there'll be a big cheer for him in the comments. He's up in seventh place and leading the rookie class over. We've got Tom Farrell in eighth, who was unlucky last time out as we got caught up in the accident with Lee Green and Cy Anthony as they rounded the last corner at Monza Parabolica, and was used as a pawn in the race for the lead, and was so unlucky there. We've got Sean Jones despite that earlier spin, he's made his way back up to ninth overall and second in class for that Ferrari. Yet again, a brilliant drive. He's just yo-yoed up and down the field, and shame for those unfortunate earlier mistakes, because I think he would have been a lot further up, and I think he would have been leading in class. Then got Barry Baldwin's BMW behind him for third in rookie class and 10th overall as he comes round the source. He's got Murray Luca there after his earlier incident from second place, which saw him tumble right down the order. He's managed to bring his Ferrari back up to 11th place. He's got another Ferrari behind him with Ben Broden. Steve Olden in his Mercedes, followed by Gary Bennington. Ash Wheeler, Neil Smith, Steve Hughes, David Lawson, David Norman, and Tony Blenkinsop round out the 20 runners and riders. We've then got Ant Franklin and Mark Cadmore in 21st and 22nd, respectively, in their McLaren and Ferrari.
It looks like the Ferrari's going to make a move on the Mercedes. He's trying to draft. He had a look. He's just trying to tempt him.
He's looking in, but I think he's a little bit too far back this time around.
Too far behind, yeah.
The gap's not very big. It's only around about half a second currently between Olden and Bennington. Another gap.
Let's see what we can do in Brussels.
Let's have a look. It's such a tricky corner, this. You can't really make much around it. It's such a slow corner.
That's right. I mean,
no name.
You look at your speedo and you think, oh, I'm doing 40 miles an hour. That's not right. But it's sometimes the only way you can make it round it for the racing line.
Especially for Spa, where it's such a fast track. It's along with Monza, one of the fastest tracks on the within the league and within Europe. And you expect to be going a lot faster around a corner at Spa, but like you say, it's one of the ones you just have to be really patient with and really crawl round. So
that's right. Patience is key. It's like when you're trying to overtake. Sometimes if you go for an overtake too soon, you can really stuff up your race. So you just have to be really patient and wait for the right moment. And that's all part of racecraft. I don't know about you, Tim, but I'm still learning that.
Yes, it's a current look. It's an evolving process, and just seat time then track time is the only way to learn that and just get involved. And we've got that's Ant
Getting the
Franklin.
barrier.
He's parked his McLaren on the outside there. I'm not too sure what's happened there. As
This is
Bennington's
a
on the
risky
attack.
overtake.
Here we
That was
go.
a-
Oh,
That was a right bang. He just hit the grass and bang. That was
there
a
he
big off.
goes. I'm not sure what happened there because he's on quite a straight part of the track, and you expect the drivers to, run wide and hit the outside, but he's hit the inside wall there. So not too sure what's happened to Ant Franklin there, and a bit of a shame as we've got. I think
That's what happened. He basically turned in too quickly and lost the back, pinged off the wall into the barrier, and I think that might be his race over. Such a shame to see that beautiful McLaren upside down.
It is. Ant Franklin's had some brilliant performances today, and such a shame. And unfortunately, that is his race over. Now we've got Murray Luca. He's got Barry Baldwin's BMW for company behind him. Around about 7 attempts covering these two. There's a couple of battles just to keep on track. They've got these two guys currently fighting it out for 10th overall. And then, as if by magic, here we go. This is the other battle we need to be keeping an eye on. Steve Olden in his Mercedes being chased down by Ash Wheeler's green and black Ferrari. However, we've got Gary Bennington's red Ferrari just sniffing away in the background and looking to possibly pick up a position. And if these guys... But I think we missed it just off camera. Steve managed to get past Ash somewhere. So that is currently for 14th position overall. Now, that's allowed. Well, it doesn't really make too much difference. These drivers from different classes. So Olden is an AM driver. You can see it from his blue banner across the top of his windscreen. Ash Wheeler, it's Ferrari's got that red banner to denote that he's one of the rookie class. And there's around about half a second covering these two right now. Gary Bennington's Ferrari's just dropped off a little bit. However, let's just say round Blanchimont in any second. Let's see how Ash Wheeler gets on against Steve Olden as they come hard onto the brakes down into the bus stop again.
That's right. I mean, also, one of the key things in these races is tyre management. And whilst no one actually changes tyres because the races are too short, if you're oversteering the car or if you're heading in too fast... there we go. He's off. He just let the guy pass.
I think he's got to slow down or something there. And no, something's happened to his car there because he's parked it on the exit of the bus stop. And Steve Olden has gone. It looks like some sort of failure there. Such a shame, as he was having a brilliant race.
That was a thoroughly disappointing end. But yeah, so if you don't manage the tyres correctly and you oversteer into corners and maybe brake a little bit late to get those extra few tenths, then towards the end of the race, your tyres are going to be a little bit more scrubbed. And someone who's been looking after their tyres a bit better will be able to overtake you and take your position.
So, current battle we're looking at on track, we've got Ash Wheeler running 5th in class, in the rookie class. He's currently 13th place overall. He's got Gary Bennington just behind him, well, about a second down the high. Got Neil Smith and Stephen Hughes, who are currently having a three-way battle. That's over 14th place currently. So, Bennington's the driver sort of out of position in amongst these guys, where he's classed above. But Smith and Hughes both racing for position within class. That's for 6th and 7th place respectively in class, 15th, 16th overall.
You see the little twitch of the BM as he came into that corner there, the 2 corners back. He was just like he's right on the edge there. He caught it in time, but I wonder if his tyres are starting to give out.
With that BMW, it's got such low down grunt, and it's really, really torquey engine, which obviously allows it to get out the corners really well, sort of punch your way out of them. However, like you say, once you've got the heated up tyres, and if you've maybe been a bit too excitable with the loud pedal, and Bennington's run very, very wide there.
That was totally deliberate. He was just let them past, yeah.
bit of a. Well, I'm guessing it's because he's obviously it's not making any difference to him in terms of where he's going to finish in class, and just allowing these guys now to chase after Ash Wheeler ahead of them, which is so that's fighting for 5th, 6th, and 7th place within the rookie class overall. So within the rookie class and 13th, 14th, 15th overall, and we've got only 1 minute 30 left to go. I don't think they're going to cash Ash Wheeler. However, it'd be great to see what happens now between these two, Smith and Hughes, as they now head up Blodgemont. Sorry, head up Eau Rouge.
That was a thoroughly aware piece of driving, realizing he's in a different class. He couldn't make an effect to his position, and he was letting other drivers maybe make some hay.
So that's allowed Neil to really push out now, and he's increased the gap up to about 6 tenths as they come down the Camel Straight. And I think we're going to have, so it's going to be, I'm just looking at where Lee Green is on track versus what the timer is left. So I think there's going to be, there's going to be a couple more laps roughly to go by the looks of things left of the race. So he needs, unless he gets around this corner in 30 seconds, then they'll be going around yet again for another time. Which that's not definitely, he's well ahead as he enters the bus stop.
Yeah, he's well going to get around that corner. Here we go across the start-finish line. There we go.
There we go. You can see the white flag being waved there as we now ride on board with Lee Green as he enters into La Source. Really taking all that, getting close up to that wall. A little bit hesitant on the throttle there, but he's got plenty of time. Now 5 seconds behind him to Josh Wilson, so he can be as leisurely as he likes. He's got such a buffer behind him, Ian.
But also a real privilege to drive, to stay on board with the driver at the head of the race. He started first, he lost a position with a pit, and then got it straight back. And so it's just a real learning experience for viewers to see how a fast driver takes the lines around Spa.
It is the battle between. I'm just sort of keeping one eye in my, out of the corner of my eye as we now continue to ride with Lee Green. That Smith and Hughes battle, that gap has closed up to around about 2 tenths. Also, Ben Brody's managed to close his gap up to Barry Baldwin. That fight over 3rd position within the rookie class. The rookies really giving us some great action, and these camera views, we haven't mentioned it tonight, but they're provided us courtesy of the guys and girls over at trackcams22.com. Absolutely stunning angles, and it's well worth going across and taking a look at their website. Obviously, the same website as the name. And Lee Green, he's got just under half a lap to go now, and just looking at the list, Neil Smith has managed to close up that gap a bit to Ash Wheeler, but I think with a lap to go, around about 8 tenths separating those two. I'd be amazed if he manages to get the move done, because they're around about on the Camel Straight right now.
So Lee takes a lot of green and comes around Stavelot and accelerates hard up Cours Paul-Frere, keeping the car to the right. Coming up to Blanchemont, should be a slight lift. There we go, slight lift, taking the curb, going perfectly, coming up to the bus stop chicane for the last time, hard on the brakes, round on the curb, left hand, green, there we go, and
flash of the lights. Lee Green wins at Spa. Lee Green is your winner overall and the winner within AM class at Spa. Josh Wilson coming across the line in 2nd place. Chris Hitchin takes 3rd position overall, which is going to take a look at the Steve Hughes, Neil Smith and Ash Wheeler battle, as that's really closed up now with around about 30% of the lap left to go. These guys really closing up right now as the race comes to a close, and after 45 minutes of racing, it all comes down to the last few corners. Can Hughes get a move done?
Do you think they're close enough to take a place on as they come into the bus stop? I think they're too far away unless it's serious late braking.
Some very large Bruxelles is to use a nice Belgian-related pun, but he's going to be too far back. However, Neil Smith really looking really racy there onto the back of Ash Wheeler, but it's too little, too late. However, that Ash Wheeler running very, very wide there, but luckily it's only a short run to the start-finish line. But it's not going to stop Neil Smith giving it a go. And across the line, only 3 attempts separating those guys. A brilliant lap from Neil Smith there. He was running around about nearly a second behind Ash Wheeler coming into that lap, and to gain back all that time, stunning. We failed to mention Rob Sanford coming across the line, 7th place overall and winner at Spa for the rookie class. Sean Joe, a brilliant recovery drive after leading early on, heads up to 9th place overall and 2nd in class for rookie. And then we've got Ben Brody taking his Ferrari to 3rd place in rookies. Absolute brilliant results. So, Ian, do you want to take us through the race result for the AMS first of all?
Yeah, sure. So Lee Green did a superlative drive, came first, Joshua Wilson second, Chris Hitchin third, in 4th place, Gary Truby, 5th, Rob Armstrong, 6th, Colin Wynn, 7th, Tom Farrell, 8th, Murray Luca, 9th, Gary Bennington, 10th, David Lewison, 11th, David Norman, 12th, Tony Blenkinsop, 13th, Steve Olden, and 14th, Carrick Stonehouse in his Lamborghini Huracan.
Go, now, do you want to take us through the rookies?
Yeah, no problems. So Rob Sanford won the rookies. Sean Joe came second, 16 seconds behind him. So that was a substantial head start there, head lead. Ben Brody came third. 4th was Barry Baldwin. 5th, Ash Wheeler. 6th with Neil Smith in his BMW M4. 7th was Steve Hughes. 8th was Mark Cadmore. 9th, Anthony Franklin, and Clive Davis in his Ferrari was 10th.
So let's. Do you want to run us through the championship standings first of all for the AMS, Ian?
So the championship standings, Chris Hitchin leads with 67 points.
Oh, hold on, we've got slight
1 second, technical glitch.
Wait for it to update. There we go.
There we go. Oh, that's much closer. Chris Hitchin is only 2 points ahead of Lee Green, who's made a real charge. That win has done his championship standings a huge bonus. Joshua Wilson is 3rd. Rob Armstrong is 4th. Going up in the championship, getting 76 points in total. Colin Wynn is now 5th. He's dropped a position by the looks of it from Rob's strong showing. David Norman has climbed a position, now on 57 points. 7th is Cy Anthony. 8th is Tony Blenkinsop, same position, 44 points. 9th is Gary Truby. He's gained in his performance in this race. 10th is Carrick Stonehouse. 11th, Gary Bennington. Murray Luca comes into 12th. David Lewison, 13th. 14th is Tom Farrell. Steve Olden is 15th. 16th position is Ken Bracey. And 17th is Tom Carroll. The rookie standings, we've got Rob Sanford, actually quite a long way ahead in his Audi R8. Maybe some other people should think about trying the Audi. Number 2, Barry Baldwin in his BMW M4. Steve Hughes takes up 3rd position. Sean Joe is 4th. He's climbed from his performance this evening. Ben Brody is 5th. 6th is Anthony Franklin. Neil Smith is 7th. He's gained positions. Ash Wheeler in 8th. He's gained. David Protty in 9th has dropped. Clive Davis in 10th. Mark Cadmore 11th. D. Smith is in 12th. Robert Rawlins 13th. And Trevor Davis is in 14th with 31 points.
So, a lot of love in the comments tonight, and a lot of I've got IRUKNL saying congrats to Lee and Rob. The usual Rob Sanford fan club has been out in force yet again. Georgie Sanford, Nat Sanford, obviously Mrs. Sanford. I don't know if you've got the champagne on ice like you did after the win at Monza. No pressure or tempting you with that one. And yes, a lot of appreciation for all the drivers. And yeah, absolute brilliant race tonight there, Ian. And yeah, just time to wrap up, really. So
Yeah,
after, well,
I loved every second of this. This is my first time doing it, and it was brilliant. And the racing was great. Yeah, a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I hope all the viewers enjoyed it too.
it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Obviously, standing in for Nick, who normally sits with myself on the commentary team. But yeah, looking forward to commentating with you again on what was yet another great race. So yeah, after a great night of racing and some very tedious Belgium-related puns, or maybe that should be Belgium-related buns. Nice, sticking another pun at the end there. We'd like to say a very special thank you to all of our viewers and subscribers on Twitch, and a very big thank you to all of our competitors this evening for making the action possible. Some dates for your diaries, guys, are coming up on Thursday, the 22nd of April at 9 p.m. We have the 5th round of the F3 League, and where we're looking to see Matt Laubs maintain his amazing 100% record that he has so far. And a week today, we'll be back at Spa once again from 9 p.m. for the Pro and Pro-Am category of the GT3 League. Of course, both races will be here live and exclusive on the iRacing UK Twitch channel. If you want to catch up on any of the previous broadcasts and races, then you can do so either here on our Twitch channel and also on the iRacing UK YouTube channel. Firstly, just want to say yet again a brilliant thank you to TrackCams22 for the camera angles that they're able to provide us with yet again tonight, and as always for all of our league races. Big thank you to producer Sean. He's been whistling away in the background as always to bring this great footage together. And of course, don't forget to hit the follow button and also subscribe so we can help bring you more of this great action and maintain our community being completely free. This has been iRacing UK Discord Community GT3 League, brought to you via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulation. Good night.